to cry in shame, go falling down again. How painful it must be to bruise so easily inside. It's a pity, it's a downright crime. It happens all the time. Wanna stay little daddy's gone. Wanna hide from the vicious world outside. Don't cry. All the tears you did and put so dry. Oh, daddy.
So, quick quiz. Who said, vengeance is mine, I will repay? Vengeance is mine, I will repay. You know. It was Jesus. Jesus said it. So, we're going to skip on to our series on spiritualism and how it connects to MK Ultra and the brainwashing of mass Masons, mass public, and the actors of our day. The actors that we see in Hollywood, well, they're kind of like propagandists. They are, jeez, where the heck happened there? Okay. They are, like, salespeople. They sell us the propaganda. The main actors are the ones that play parts every day in our lives. They don't know there's so much actors as they are people that have been convinced they need to do the things they do for their religious belief system and to bring people to an understanding of what they believe because they've been brainwashed that they, that this is so important. That this is more important than anybody else's belief, and we have to bring people here because it's the ultimate agenda to bring people under our spell. Although they don't know it's a spell, they know it as their only true life that they've ever seen because that's all they've been introduced through their communal living, through their communist agenda, through the community. From their roots in utopian societies, whether their families were Methodist, Quakers, or Unitarianisms, or Unitarians, or whatever the frick you call those freaks. Yeah. They've all been convinced that they need to bring people down this road. So they are actors in the play set out before you to bring people towards this ultimate agenda that they all want you to go in. So they're throughout our society in many different positions, and shoot, you can just look online. Well, there's Alex Jones, WikiLeaks, all of them. These people are just showmen. They're there to bring you towards this ultimate goal through the different types of order out of chaos that they create. They think it's what's right for humanity because they've been brainwashed that it's right for them and that it works for them and that it's such a good thing. All their ideas horrible? No. The way they go about them is freaking ridiculous. You don't brainwash people. You don't hijack their minds from the time they're children and turn them into what you want. That's not appropriate. That is playing God, and it's totally unacceptable. Therefore, if you're a Mason or any other person working for the government or wherever you work or subcontract, and you're taking part in these things, you need to understand what you're doing is so horrible. It is a horrendous, terrible thing. You may not think that, and you may think anybody that goes against these ideas as horrible because that's what you've been convinced. And that's, well, understandable that you can't get over that brainwashing. But you have to understand when it comes to people like me that actually have educated myself on what the hell's going on, I do not accept your brainwashing, and we'll have to fight against it because it's morally the right thing to do. Morally, the wrong thing would be to do is to go along with what you're doing or to agree with it. And I know you're also convinced that you must fight against the people that are going against it and treat them so horribly. But hey, you want to know what? That's the wrong decision you made. You can never get any further if you fell for the brainwashing. If you went along with this shit, you are lost. Just saying. And I'm going to show you how you got lost. You can say I'm lost, and that's fine. Show me where I got lost. Show me. You can't. You can't. Because the only thing I've ever done is reject the shit that you've been brainwashed into. And I'm going to show you that it's brainwashing shit. Matter of fact, I'm going to show you right now if you're one of these people. Okay? We're going to start here with Adam Weishaupt. By establishing reading societies and subscription libraries and taking these under our direction and supplying them through our labors, we may turn the public mind which way we will. Adam Weishaupt. We may turn the public mind which way we will. Wait a second here, Mr. Weishaupt. Who's we, and what right do you have to turn the public's mind the way you want it? What makes you so special that, it's okay to be subcontracted from the Rothschilds and decide who should go which way and which way they should be going and all that jazz? It's not your business. It's against nature. It's not right. But establishing reading societies, when he wrote this quote, what was going on with the Bavarian Illuminati is it was falling apart and they needed to hide it. So his decision was to push it into the Masons and to also hide it in reading societies. And here's one of them. And we're going to show you how transcendentalism got caught up in the Illuminati. Actually, it was started from the Illuminati, so it wasn't really caught up with them. But first, I want to talk about transcendentalism, transcending. You might have heard people like Laura Eisenhower, who talked about everybody hurry up and transcend for the last 10 years. And of course, she has never transcended herself. A bunch of bullshit. Transcending. That's why, if you don't understand where these words come from, don't all of a sudden adapt these ideas. And it's just like the New Age. We're going to also show you how the New Age connects to, the Illuminati. And was started by the Illuminati. Got to be careful if you don't understand the ideas and where they came from. Why are you adapting them, you freaking fools? You might actually be taking part in what they exactly want. My position is always to look at it as, if they want me to go in this direction or if they want me to do this, I'm going to do the exact opposite because I am not their bitch. Nor should you be either. Okay? The Unitarian Church has a lot of connections to what this is going on, but actually, the Divinity School here at Harvard, Yale, I also talked about today in their Divinity School, and the Commie Theology School, which is at Columbia University in New York. I call Columbia Commie College, okay? And if you saw my little video on Bill de Blasio, the mayor of New York there, we talked about Commie College. But we're going to quickly rush through this because, this is more about, not so much of these old-time people and their, their ideas and everything else. But when you do go on your own and look into these people, they wrote some great things and everything else. But you can also start to see how they were like the shills of their day, saying great things, and the clubs and different things they were a part of actually put things and word things so that they would bring people in a certain direction in the future. Okay, so it's interesting that even one of the biggest critics of transcendentalism was Edgar Allan Poe. Once he realized and woke up to what they're doing, Margaret Fuller here. Okay, she herself, if you look here, and the Fuller family is an interesting family, but if you take a good look here, okay, where is it? Here we go. All right. What was going on here is she met with Giuseppe Mazzini in the early days after Illuminati was falling apart. He was part of the Illuminati. Okay, so she ends up shacking up with his best friend. Okay, and learn about the Illuminati to bring it more into the transcendental movement. Okay, so that's kind of very important. And we're also going to talk about, why don't we talk about the Bronson Alcott family, okay? Where was it? We got Peabody, and he was very influential in the education system. But, and I like Thoreau. I mean, it's not like you have to hate all these people. They give good ideas, but you got to always remember to see what their true intention was, okay? You know, so yeah, it's something you just need to learn, okay? And you got Amos Bronson here, okay? He's going to have a lot of connections to the families that are bringing you false flags today, okay? Born in Wilcott, Connecticut, not far from Sandy Hook. I read the family's personal journal, so I understand that they actually own some property in the Sandy Hook area. So they were one of the ones from the early days. And let me tell you something about the Wilcott area. You have some of the best black magicians out there in this area. I know them very well. For some reason, they're scared of me, though. I don't know why. It's very interesting. But anyways, it's something you need to understand. And he's friends with Seth Thomas. That's interesting. Seth Thomas, they made the clocks. Most of you went to school, you probably had a Seth Thomas clock. You know, that clock that you looked at the wall hoping for it to click to, the time for the bell to ring so you can get out of class. 90% chance that was a Seth Thomas clock, if you remembered. I'm not sure. Most people aren't like me and look at them makes. They spend more time looking at the number waiting for it to click. But he was big into the Utopian Society, okay? And Transcendentalism had a lot to do with the Utopian Society, okay? And let me see. If you see this, Fruitland Friends is the Utopian Society. Yeah, see, I was right. I memorized weird shit. But anyways, he was against the nuclear family, even though his family was very nuclear, which is interesting. The Bronson family and the Alcott family is basically two different families, and they just adapted both names into one. Interesting how they changed their names and merged things over the years. Very, very interesting. Where was it? Temple School. What he did is he taught school. Let me see if I can find it. I'll have to see where Temple School. Where's he talking about? Utopian Societies. Where was it? Emerson, Thoreau, Alcott House, but he actually taught school in a Masonic lodge. Let's see if it's here. I probably skipped over it pretty quick here, but yeah, that's where he taught school. He taught kids inside of a Masonic lodge. These people are always tied to the upper echelon of the Masons, and so you're always going to see that Masonic connection with the people that do these things, okay? Utopian society, every single utopian society failed. But you got to remember, and, I might jump back over for a second here, so let me just go over that. I thought it talks about Transcendental Club, but I'm pretty sure it talks about him teaching at Temple School. Yeah, in a Masonic lodge. Bam, right there. Okay, let me jump back over it real quick. All right. So anyways, utopian societies throughout this country have failed one time after another. But you had these religious leaders that were always tied to the upper echelon of the education system, whether it was Harvard, Yale, and universities like that. And those were the leaders. These people put together these communes. and they broke apart the family. Basically the idea of everybody's kid is everybody's kid, so it's not your kid anymore, and the socialist utopian agenda, right? That's where a lot of this comes in, and that's why you have to be very careful. Is we understand, they want to push this socialist agenda, and yes, believe it or not, the super elite want to destroy the free market. But you have to understand that they also understand that the utopian societies fail. But if they can make them so that they're not criticized and somewhat relevant, they can brainwash more people in those communal style living circumstances. Okay, it gets complex. And what you have here is with the utopian societies, many members were connected to some very evil things. And I'm going to show you here in a second where one of them actually assassinated a president. What you need to know is the early days, before the country was totally formed, you had wealthy families. They, basically were like, they were like quasi dukes or whatever, quasi, kings of like little areas of towns. You had 1 or 2 wealthy families. You didn't have dozens of wealthy families. You had one or two. And everybody else worked for them. And, it kind of trickled down like that. So when they started something, it was, they were the ruler in a way. And as America grew and things expanded, they wanted to make sure they still controlled the minds of the people. And these communal styles they experimented with, and they even called them experiments, just like they call, America the Great Experiment. What it was brainwashing. Before they had mental hospitals they could stick people in and do all kinds of experiments with and brainwash them, is they closed themselves off from the rest of society, right? And taught them a new, throughout all their belief system, right? Pumped, tore them down, built them back up with this new belief system, right? All right, that they're so great. And then, that's basically a cult. I mean, what happens in a cult? They separate you from your family, your belief system, everything else. Tear you down, then build you up in this new thinking system that they've created. It's the same thing as a cult. There's no difference between utopian societies and communal living than a cult. Same freaking thing. It's just now that we've grown, and through the years they got what really happened is they grew into these health spas, right? Like the Kellogg's family. We're going to get into them next, and I could do this all in one video because there's a lot. But these health spas and health clubs that people went to back in the early days, where they concentrated pumping in their new belief systems, and they tried new foods to somewhat control their mind, like alchemy. And you'll see how they sprung off into big pharma, the families that were tied to big pharma. Okay, these people are all connected. Fucking dirty, nasty people, and controlling people's minds. Well, these communal living utopian societies failed. Okay, and when they failed, they still, you got to think about it. All right, you got man, woman in utopian society. They have a kid. Well, the kid can't marry outside of the society. He ends up marrying from another group of people's kid, and they're all communal kids anyway, whatever. So they're brainwashed into the society. Utopian society fails, but they still try and keep on top of these brainwashed people because you trickle down, and what do you call it? Do you call it generational brainwashing? And that happens, okay? And it's been happening for a long time. And not only that, is the biggest problem is what happened is when it comes to people with in our intelligence service, FBI, CIA, you name it, higher up, they're all part of this. Okay, so they've gained control over what's actually going on, and that's scary because they just care about themselves when it comes down to it. There's a very hedonist undertone There's a hedonist undertone to some of the brainwashing when you read through some of the stuff. And I encourage you to read through some of the stuff. Because if you take a look here, all right, what we got here is Charlie. And what he did was assassinate James Garfield. Garfield didn't die right away, ended up dying, blah, 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 blah. You're always going to see that there's a lot of brainwashing. Its history went through Michigan. Long history of brainwashing in Michigan. He was part of the United community, which was a utopian society, okay? And I urge you to believe in that. Humphrey Noyes, you can read all about all these people, okay? And it's really going to take you through how all these people are connected together, okay? And it's scary. You see another Andover theology seminary. See how all these theology people, and don't think that the theology schools cannot be connected to some of the false flags that we have today. I can 100% documented put people that belong to some of these theological schools directly involved, committing lies and deceiving the public and stealing money and false flags. Directly, I could do it directly. Matter of fact, it wouldn't be funny if I even started tracking some of their own family to find out where they are and where they recently moved and stuff. Actually, it wasn't recently, but where they've moved and what they're doing in their new, new homes and new areas. It'd be funny, wouldn't it? But you need to understand what has happened is that the people that are involved in this are so freaking brainwashed. You're not going to go up to these people that are very much involved in these false flags and convince them that what they're doing is wrong, because they are so brainwashed that it'd be like talking to, freaking a wall. Not only would it be so useless, it would be talking like to Donald Trump's imaginary wall. It'd be that bad. You ain't changing their minds. What I'm hoping to do is for somebody that's not really been through this stuff, but they've somehow got caught up into it, whether they're a Mason or a federal agent, start to see that the history is provable, what these people have been into. What the joke is that nobody out there is doing the country justice and doing their job correctly. They're all taking part in this if they're not stopping these people. It is so reprehensible that any person that could stop these people can't literally follow the family histories, the history of the people that are doing these things, and see how they connect to so many evil things. That's a big problem in our country. And that is why, it's almost proven itself, that the people they pick for these positions, whether federal agents or CIA or whatever, that are part of these programs, because they can't have any outsiders. They don't have an option to have somebody that's going to tell truth. They can only have brainwashed fools. That's it. And just because they can speak different languages, just because they have 5 different degrees, it doesn't mean they're not a fool. If they go along with what they're told without researching the history and understanding why this is being brought about, why this is being done, and have these people been a part of evil all along, like we said in the past, and when we're going to bring you more about the Kellogg's family, they're a eugenics family. I mean, what this says is every single person in our federal government that's taking part of this is evil and wants you dead. Yeah, I'm sorry, but this is the truth. Read this stuff. The utopian societies failed every single time. They know this. They're selling you bullshit.
tried to comfort you. I've tried to tell you to be patient. 'Cause there